Okay, everyone. Well, we are just absolutely thrilled to be here with you as we look at a couple things that might be a little anxiety provoking, I guess, as we kind of navigate our synchronous sessions, and also sometimes our asynchronous sessions, depending, recording can go both, for both. Reporting usually is for our synchronous sessions or our office hours to kind of, keep track and things like that, and to support engagement and just really like making sure that we're able to follow up with students who might be getting perhaps ejected from the sessions a lot of times, things like that, so that we can help them. And my name is Keelan Koning. I am communications coordinator for 3CSN. And I also teach English at Cal State Northridge, and I am a practitioner who uses this all the time. And I also do a lot of work with reporting and recording as well. I'm not an expert, but I use it a lot, and that is the case with all of our wonderful practitioners who lead these sessions. And Devin, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hello, everyone. Welcome. As I said, happy Thursday. My name is Devin Werble. I too work with 3CSN. I am part of the LACCD, so I teach both English and linguistics at LA Valley College. And I'm happy to be here. I'm going to be kind of behind the scenes supporting Keelan. I will be monitoring the chat. If anything comes up along the way, let me know, and I'm here to help. Thanks for joining us.
And we know very well that that person who is handling the chat is a treasure for sure. So thank you so much, Devin, for being here with us. So we're going to go ahead and move through, and just in terms of like what's bringing us together today, this is coming from our very beginning in March 18th. When we started this. It seems like such a long time ago. I feel like I've aged about 20 years in that time. I don't know about the rest of you. And also the hair has grown longer, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so, but to kind of bring a sense of community in online environments. So a lot of times we're very siloed in these situations. And so to bring us all together so that we can learn in the best way, and that's something that 3CSN really values, is learning in community. We learn better when we're together. That helps us to develop and support our individual identities, and that helps us to also support our students' identities, and it changes campuses, it changes systems, it changes the world, starting there. To provide our network with opportunities to really dialogue and share and build strength and knowledge, and engage in productive struggle in community. Productive struggle is something that comes from Zaretta Hammond. If you are someone who has gone to any of our sessions, you have heard this about 5,000 times, because we absolutely admire Zaretta Hammond and her work. And so, this idea of kind of leaning into discomfort and finding that good feeling that comes from actually getting it, which we want our students to have too. And so this gives us a lot of empathy for our students, and also just that good feeling for ourselves that we're still learning is an incredible thing. And I've learned so much since March, just by being in these sessions. I've learned so much from everyone, and I recognize a lot of the names in this room, so I'm thrilled. I've learned so much from all of you. I know Devin has too. Our mission with 3CSN is to develop leaders in California community colleges who have the capacity to facilitate networks of faculty, staff, and students for curricular and institutional redesigns in support of increased student access, success, equity, and completion. So a tall but doable order. Okay. All right. So we have some community agreements, and so just sorry, my mouse is very sensitive. Okay. So we have some learning goals today. And we want to be, pretty quick so that we can go through, because these are two kind of large topics, and we want to give you time for questions too. But just kind of like, the technical aspects. So we always think about tools, and we think about like a little more with 3CSN. And so understanding the technical aspects of how to set up the recording and access recording for Zoom sessions, why we might intentionally use recording in our campus roles, why we might intentionally use reports features in campus roles, and how these tools can support student success. Okay, so those are our goals. Okay. So if you could go ahead and just type in the chat right now, some reasons why you used or might use Zoom for recording. Go ahead and type that in the chat. Like, for example, maybe video feedback, things like that. What would be the purposes of using recording? Okay, so I see recording class meetings. Definitely. Okay, accreditation. A friendly introduction to the Canvas class. Definitely. Yes. So that we're all on board with that liquid syllabus right now, right? Tutoring. Yes. Mini lecture embedded in Canvas. Ooh, ambitious. I love it. Okay. Students want to be able to review things later. Okay. So, but then, you know, we don't necessarily want them to. You want to keep them staying focused. So that's something to think about, right? You know, how do we use that intentionally? So that's important. Meeting notes. Yes. What did someone say? I can't remember anymore. Thank goodness for Zoom in those cases, right? And that recording feature. Okay, so we see some good stuff in here. Students missed something. Recording. Do you see anything else in there, Devin, that I'm missing?
No, someone said recording for self.
Yeah, recording for yourself, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I really love using it for video feedback for my students. So that's something that I just started doing that's super fun and actually allows me to give high fives virtually. So there's no germ transmitted in those situations. Okay, so concerned about Zoom security and all the data being hacked. Okay, so totally get that. So we'll talk about different options too, Mark, that you can use that are not Zoom-ish. Okay, so this is a Zoom session, but we can definitely talk about some alternatives as well. But if we want to go ahead and go to, if you want to follow along with me, we're going to go ahead and go to settings and click on recordings. So this is how we do it. Go to settings, click on recordings, and decide where you want to record, whether you want to record locally or in the cloud, okay? So a local recording, so if we go over here, we can decide if we're going into our settings, we can decide under the recording tab, whether we want to make it a local recording or if we want to record in the cloud. Now, sometimes that decision will be made for us by the campus. For a while at Cal State Northridge, we actually were told that we could only do local recording and kind of have that on our desktop. Okay, so then they got the cloud recording, so we're able to choose now. Sometimes you can also, depending on if you've updated, you actually have this option to decide that inside of your settings at the bottom of your screen or at the top of your screen, depending. As Devin said, it's all about hovering. It's all about the hover in Zoom. So looking around to see where your settings are, then you sometimes can find it that way as well. If you're in the meeting and you're like, oh man, I wish I would have chosen what kind of recording I wanted to do, okay? So under local recording, this means that it's actually going to be on your actual desktop itself. So you could decide that, then it's going to, we don't want to do that right now. Okay, but that will change it to local recording. Cloud recording, you are actually able to save it in the cloud. And this offers the opportunity to share with folks. So you can share with students, things like that, the recording, and you can set some parameters. And we'll talk about that in a minute, okay? And again, if you have questions as we go, I'm going to do my best to stop periodically and check in. And I'm going to try to also maybe have an eye on the chat. We'll see. But I know Devin will stop me if it's necessary because we might have to go way, way back. We don't want to do that. Okay, so then you can decide. Record active speaker with a shared screen. So this would mean that you're not recording your students. Okay, you would want that if you did not want to violate the private, or let's say if you wanted to protect the privacy of your students, let's use that kind of affirmative language, right? So record active speaker with shared screen, make sure all the students are on mute. you can make a decision and actually put that they can't unmute themselves. And then they will not accidentally, as I say, become the unintentional stars of a video that you then have to edit later, which is not always the easiest thing if you're not super used to doing that. Okay. We have record gallery view with a shared screen. So that one would have kind of like the Brady Bunch, if anyone used to watch that. Okay. Then we have record active speaker gallery view and shared screen separately. I sometimes like to do this because then you can make a decision depending on how you want to do it. You sometimes might want to have that gallery view. And then you can have more options, and then you can download whichever ones you want. Now you'll notice that here cloud recording has a lot of options. And if you look in Zoom, they do have definitely a lot of training, so you can look into it. But local recording does have less options for certain things. Okay. I would recommend that you always save the chat messages from the meeting webinar. True story. Devin, are you unmuting yourself because we need something? Yeah.
Really quickly about that. So Mark brought up a really good question about when you turn on local recording. He says there's an option that appears which says hosts can give participants the permission to record locally.
Mm-hmm.
Can you?
Yeah, and so that would mean that you could actually give the students in or the other meeting attendees the permission to record on their own computers to record. But we have to think about things. I mean, there are so many considerations, academic freedom. I mean, there are a lot of things, and we know that students can also record with their, shaky cam version of their cell phones and things like that as well. But these are things to think about, right? Do you want to give permission to students? Who would you give it to? So you can kind of make different decisions also. And we'll talk about breakout rooms. Please remind me if I don't get there. But breakout rooms are another place where you have to give permission for recording. And Devin, please pop in if you have also something else, because I know Devin has also quite used to doing the recording part for sure. So we can definitely flow in there together. Okay. So the chat messages, this is very helpful because I actually had a situation with one of my classes where I give them community support points, and I did not record that particular chat message, and now I do not know who got those points. So I have to remember it was the first day of class, and now I have to remember which student it was, and it's a little awkward to try to go back and try to figure out which of the students whose name starts with S, okay? Things like that, okay. Then we have a timestamp. You might wanna do that. Participants' names in the recording, you may or may not want that. Record thumbnails when sharing. Optimize the recording for third-party video editor. I usually just kind of have most of these checked off. I like to have more options rather than less. You can save panelists, chat to the recording. We don't really do panelists kind of things, so I don't use that particular feature, but you might. And then the audio transcript. I always like to have an audio transcript as well, and that's also nice if you're ever going to do any filming. So for instance, we did some interviews with participants, and it's nice to have the audio transcript because then you can use that if you ever want to use that kind of, as an element of a video that you're going to make. Okay, so things like that. There are so many options here. Automatic recording, this is lovely. Okay, so I think I had, over here. So just kind of thinking about click on the recordings, decide where you want to do it, and then decide what type of recording would be most useful for your purpose. Okay, so options vary. Cloud recordings do not allow shared screen with gallery view. So that's something else to think about. Okay, so look into those different options that you have. Okay, then you're gonna select your settings. Okay, and here we have, so I did, and actually I was going to pop this into the chat, so my apologies, because I want you all to have this now. And this has links, so you have goodies inside of this document as well, so you can go ahead and grab those slides. And so this has information about the different kinds of recording that you can do in terms of setting those up. Okay. So one of the things that sometimes comes up is I'm recording my session, but then the breakout rooms, you know, maybe I want my students to go in there and give like a speech or something like that, right? And so the host needs to allow recording before opening the breakout rooms. So this is important. If the host is already opened, this is ED, very bad English instructor, okay, has already opened the breakout rooms, they can join your breakout room to allow you to record. Okay. I think this is actually a screenshot, so maybe it wasn't me. Okay, click record in the meeting controls to start a local recording, and then the host will need to invite you to join the breakout room, okay? Click the pause or stop icon in the meeting controls to pause or stop recording. So this kind of shows like how it goes, allow record, and then you can do that. You can also make somebody into a co-host, and then they can also record. So there are different options that you have. The recording can also be stopped or paused by clicking the indicator in the top left corner. Okay, so those are, okay, so any questions about this or any comments that we're seeing in the chat right now? All right, so when we're thinking about the recording, you do not have to, for everything, you don't have to set the recording ahead of time. Only for if you are going to be using the recording in the breakout rooms. So that's something important to think about. Okay, so if you decide, you know what, I would love for my students to record in the breakout rooms, then you're going to designate somebody. It's very intentional, okay, because you know, obviously you don't want people just willy-nilly recording whatever happens to happen in the, we have students that are very private. I'm sure you've all had these. I had a student who was a former model and she was like, do not take my picture. And like people were trying to take pictures for Snapchat and she was like getting very, you know, it was intense. So, you know, we all have those moments. So we want to be very, very careful about that. Okay. Recording is the easy part if you're the host or the co-host. Okay. So you just click this little button. You just use these two friends down here. But the most important thing, and this is really hard to do sometimes, is don't forget to start the recording and don't forget to restart the recording. Okay, this is something that we face all the time. It's like, oh, let's not, you know, capture that chit chat at the beginning of the session. Let's go ahead and, you know, start recording at a certain time. And then we forget, you know, and so then we miss the entire thing. We can't repeat that because life doesn't go backwards, at least yet. I don't know. Anything can happen now. I'm not sure. All right, so then we're going to say locate your recordings. Okay, so you're going to click on recordings on the left navigation bar. So I want you to follow along with me. Okay, so we're going to see recordings right here. And you see that we have a lot of recordings and there are different ways to search for them. So you can decide, you can kind of narrow them down and you can decide if these are uploaded ones. So apparently you can upload some. You can also have some on-demand kind. You can also search by keyword. So if I want to find something that's about a certain topic, I can search by a keyword or a topic or a meeting ID. So you can decide how you're going to search for them. If you have a lot of videos, this may be a good idea to, you know, search in this way. So these are for the cloud recordings. Okay. For the local recordings, these are the ones that are accessible only from the computer on which they were recorded. So this sometimes happens that you're trying to find something and it ends up that it might be on someone else's computer from another time because you're sharing an account or something. Okay, it has to, you have to locate it on your own. So it has the information, so you can kind of like look at it. You can see the meeting ID, but you're going to have to go to your computer. Now this does tell you where it's located, so that should help you somewhat. Okay, but you have to go to your actual computer. Hopefully you didn't switch computers in the meantime and find yourself looking for something that no longer exists. Okay, so that's why I like the cloud, but that again is just me. Okay. All right, any questions at this point? Has everyone found the recordings button? Nice, okay. And inside of Canvas, it looks very similar. Okay, so, and we'll talk about also For those of you who are using Canvas and it's the Zoom version and not the Confer Zoom version, even though it's a Confer Zoom account, wow, does that get confusing? Okay, but the one that actually says ZOOM only and does not have a confer in front of it, or confer, however we want to say it, it's kind of like potato, that you can take a look, you know, at that as well. And you can actually, if you create sessions here, and this is not about the recording, but if you create a session here, then you can see that inside of also your Zoom on Canvas. Okay, so, but these are, you know, this is, we're gonna show you like how to do this here, and then we can also look inside of Canvas if you like a little bit later. Okay. All right, so are we seeing anything of import, Devin, in the chat? Are we good?
Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
Okay, we're good.
Like Mark, it's helping me to focus.
Okay, so Sally was saying, just to confirm, the recording settings have to be set before you schedule the Zoom meeting.
Oh no, I think I mentioned, I think I just tried to clarify that that's only for the breakout rooms. Okay, that's only for the breakout rooms. For the regular recordings, you can choose, and even if you have the most updated version of Zoom, then you should have an option to choose whether you want cloud or local actually in your toolbar, you know, as you're starting your recording. Okay. So that's kind of, it's a new feature and I think it's really cool. So I would recommend that. But you know, I personally prefer, and the reason why I prefer the cloud recording for most things, because then you can just link it. Now, if you're going to do heavy editing and you have to, you know, perhaps, you know, something that you have to cut out or something like that, then of course you're going to want to, you know, you're going to want to download that, but you can download that from the cloud anyway. And you can always delete those afterwards and save them to your computer. So I'm personally not sure exactly what the great benefit would be, except for just, you know, the load on maybe the, you know, this on the cloud itself. I find that it's very, very handy to have it there. But again, I just have lost so many things in my lifetime that I really like having them in the cloud. But that's, you know, again, that's my choice. So whatever feels best to you is totally fine.
Sorry, one more thing, Keely.
Yeah.
Sandy was checking in about Zoom and Confer Zoom. She was like, I was a little confused about what you talked about with regards to Zoom. And
okay, so what I meant by that is that when you go, some LA Community College District and others have gone from, okay, so it is confusing. That's what I was saying, it's confusing. All of our Zoom accounts across the state, at least mostly, if you have one through the state chancellor's office, they are called Confer Zoom accounts. Okay. However, there's also that's for a brief time, there was a system that was actually not through, it was called Confer Zoom or Confer Zoom, and it showed up on your Canvas shell, but it actually was through another, I forgot, it's called Link something, that it had meetings and, you know, things like that. So it was a little more robust system, but most of the campuses now no longer have that. So most of us just have, it says Zoom inside. Okay. So some people still have the one that says Confer Zoom. If they have the Confer Zoom one, which again is very confusing because your Zoom account is Confer Zoom. So it's very confusing. Okay. But yeah, so that's basically just that Zoom is the, for most of us, is what it's going to say when we click on it inside of our Canvas shell, if that's helping. I don't know if that actually made it more confusing.
it's a hot mess. The whole thing's a hot mess.
Well, we'll take a look at it. It'll be okay. Okay, but the point is that Zoom itself, you know, is both, hopefully is living in your Canvas shell and is also living in this other space on the web. Okay, so we're doing the web-based one right now. Okay, All right, so we're gonna look at the recordings. You can decide, you can search by date range or by my meeting ID, topic, or keyword. And then before you share, you wanna make sure they're captioned, okay? And so this is what we were talking about earlier. So the recordings are already captioned by Zoom. They will need to be edited. And what we mean by captioned is that if we go in here in just a minute, I'm going to show you, okay? But when downloaded, there are also free captioning services that you can use. And one of them is 3cmediasolutions.org, okay? If anyone has gone, and I see some of you in here who have gone to Josh's sessions on accessibility, then he really talks a lot about 3C Media Solutions. This is what the right now the state is using. It does run out of money. It is a grant. So he strongly recommends that you get your captioning now, done now. You can edit it yourself if you have like so much extra time, which none of us do. And you really just like love to caption yourself, then you can definitely do that. You can even assign a student some extra credit and ask them to caption as you go, okay? Because Zoom does have that feature. The other thing is the bootleg version that's really cool is actually to turn on the tool. I should have done this already. But there's a tool here that does that actually inside of Google Slides and inside of PowerPoint will actually caption. So that is a really cool hack or bootleg version that you can do. Again, it's not perfect. My name is always Caitlin, and so that's it's not going to be perfect, but it is a way. It is a way to do it. Okay. In terms of the session, referring it to the copy of the PowerPoint, Devin, would you mind repasting? Because I am giving the slides so that you can have them. Definitely, that's something that is really important to me. As a participant, it's always important to me, so I always try to give you, whatever I can, and I do this with my students as well. I give them the slides every class, and they seem to appreciate them. Okay. All right, so you can share your recordings directly from Zoom recordings page. You can do the local or cloud recording to share. So there are instructions for each of these here. And we can look at the sharing settings. So let's go up to the recordings. And if we decide that we're going to share this one is currently in process. It does take a little while. So if we decide that we want to share this, we can take a look at it and we can click on share here. But here, this one usually asks you for, so you have different options here. So are you all able to see this okay? Okay. All right, so you can share publicly. You can choose that only authenticated users can view. And then you can decide on the passcode protection. Now, authenticated users, there's a kind of a stop on that with I think we've talked about this a few times in the Zoom 101 and Zoom 102 sessions with breakout rooms and such. This decision is kind of made for us. Authenticated users, you should be totally fine and again, I am not an expert at this, so please, take this with a grain of salt, I suppose. But I would say that if you put the either the registration required, which is on demand, or you choose the passcode protection, if you give it a passcode and then if you put this on and you decide that you're going to call this like Devin's Amazing, okay, and we go ahead and save that. Oh, sorry, Devin. It needs a number. Okay. Oh, number 1. All right. Very nice. Okay, so then when we copy the sharing information to the clipboard, then we're going to see that it actually has the access passcode. And so you can send that to the students and they will have that. You can copy the information to the clipboard and then you can email that. Okay, so if I opened up an email, you would see if I clicked on this, that would copy the whole thing. I always still try to click on copy because I don't trust any technology in that way, because I keep finding that it doesn't do it even though I think it's going to. Okay. And then we click on done. Okay, so I'm going to take this off now because we're actually not sharing this right now. And then if I say, oh man, you know, I mean, infinity symbol, I want to do something else because Devin is beyond amazing, then I could, you know, decide something else. Okay, so you can go ahead and make those changes. So I'm going to take this off because we don't want to have that issue when I'm trying to download this video later. Okay, so any questions about that?
We're good. I just said, wow, feeling super loved. Thank you.
Very good. Okay, so for the PowerPoint, let me go ahead and share this with you because I think that one didn't get in there. Hold on one second. All right, here is the PowerPoint. Okay, so those are the slides. So I see some of you are in here, so you can go ahead and join me here inside of my head. Okay, all right, like John Malkovich. No, I don't know. I haven't seen that movie in long enough the time to remember what happened there. Okay. So you can do a couple things. You can share it by directly from the Zoom recordings page. And let me show you right now that you can also, if you click on this, and this will kind of help you, then you can actually, oh my, how meta is this? Okay, so we can actually set the playback range. So we can decide, wow, that thing that happened at the end, like at the beginning, the chit chat, and this is where we can say, okay, we're gonna like adjust. It's not doing it right now, but you could. Okay. Oh, because this is 6 seconds. Okay. But you can adjust, and then you can adjust here. Okay. So you can kind of decide for this. Now, if there's something in the middle, this does not allow trimming, that kind of like what we call splitting. It will do what's called trimming. I am becoming in the know about some of this like video lingo, but I'm certain that some of you are way better at this than I am. But you can't split. There's nothing in here. It's very simple, very rudimentary, but you can do that. So you can set the playback range. Okay. So that's something to know. Okay. The other thing is that if you go, let me see. Let's go to one of the ones that has more. You can kind of tell the ones that have like all the stuff if you look at this. So this is the shared screen with the speaker view. So this one actually shows that it has the audio transcript here. And you can see the closed caption as well. And then, okay, and you can see that we're getting ready. So sorry about that. Okay. So, and if you watch a little bit further, you're going to see that Nick actually does this incredible move where she walks through the coffee beans and then comes back. And it is super magical, but you know, you'll have to watch the best-selling version of this video later on. Okay. So we see that we have the audio transcript here. We have the chat messages as well. So these actually, if you're looking for something that your student said, like I said, you know, earlier, I want to save that chat. This is where I'm going to be able to look through here and see the information as well. So if I'm looking for something that a student, maybe like the extra credit situation, I can easily scroll through. Sometimes Zoom will betray us. Hard to believe, but true. Sorry, Zoom. Okay. We love you, but sometimes. Okay. So for instance, it might not, and we'll talk about the reports. Sometimes the reports, there may be a glitch at some point or something like that. We've had that happen a couple times. This kind of becomes that place where if people are interacting, and then you can kind of get an idea of who was there as well. Okay. So if they did a sign in the chat or something like that, then you'll have that information here just in case. Okay. So any questions about this part? Yeah, so it's pretty cool, but again, and you can actually go in here into the audio transcript and you can edit. So if we see something like, oh no, don't, nope, that's wrong, wrong, wrong. Okay, so let's see.
For instance, can you hear me? When I was doing a Canvas intro welcome video for my students using Zoom,
Mm-hmm.
Zoom thought my name was Devin Horrible, and instead of Devin Horrible. So I looked at the transcript, and luckily I was able to click into the transcript where you see Keelan hovering, and I was able to, edit my name so it was spelled right and not Devin Horrible, and instead Devin Horrible.
That is so fun.
That's amazing, right?
That's absolutely horrible. Okay, so Florentina, she is telling, yes, so it is word for word the same as the captions. Yes, it is. And it also has the CC down here. So you can actually see, you can see it here and you can see it here. Okay, so, but this is on your side. So this is basically where you're going to update. So here it says, I'm Nicole Bryant Lusher. Okay, okay. All right, and my name is not Keeling. Okay, again, I'm telling you. All right, so we're gonna save that. And then it's like my Keeling Human. And this is my amazing co-pilot Keelan Koning, okay? All right, so that's my last name. My last name is not human. I mean, it is, but it isn't. Okay, here we go. All right, who knew we were gonna have so much fun? And then down here, my name apparently, as I say it, is Caitlin Koning. Okay. All right. All right, so there we go. And then you can you can decide if you're gonna scroll or how you're gonna do it. Okay, so now that's fixed. So if we get to that spot here, we should see the updates in the transcript. Okay. So that's that part. So is everyone okay with that piece? We should include the transcript for accessibility. You know what, Javier, that's a great question. I would definitely suggest, that you do. I think that the closed captioning, depending if you have everything, like beautifully done, then yes, but I think it's a good idea. Yes, it changes the closed captioning, it should. So let's see. Now you get to see Nick's humor about people fanning you. Okay. All right, here we go, see? So it's now corrected. Okay, so you do have to refresh it before you share, but it will fix it. And now my name is correct. Okay, so that's how it goes. Okay. Pretty cool, pretty cool. All right, so let me close that out. Okay, I think we're good there. Okay. So the other option that you have is that you can download, you can trim it, and you can upload. So there's something that you want to, students began to talk about something personal and you don't want to put that in, and you didn't want to stop recording because that's going to be a nightmare for you to remember. And so you did the recording, but you don't want the students to see it, then you can download, you can trim, and you can upload it again. Okay, so you can do that. So inside of Canvas, there are a couple places that you can go. So you can decide if you want to go into, like, let's go to an assignment. So there are a couple places. One is if you have Canvas Studio, which we just recently acquired like about 5 seconds ago, then you can use that. So it just appeared. And this is what I'm talking about in terms of Zoom versus Confer Zoom. This is what mine looks like inside of Canvas. So in case that helps at all. We also have this thing called Panopto Video, which I have not tried. If anyone knows how to use it, please send me an email. Okay. Then we'll have you can lead another session, and I would attend and be very happy to hear all about it. Okay. But if we go to here to assignments and we decide, you know what, I really want to upload this video, and the one that's built into Canvas is not to my liking. And so I'm going to go ahead and go in here and I can decide. I can add, I can either record or upload media here. But if I upload media, I can select the video file. Okay, and I can add it here. Or if I want to just put the audio file, I'm like, you know what? I just want the audio file that I recorded in Zoom, and I'm going to upload it here. I did try this record media, and I don't know if anyone has tried it, but I did it with the webcam and I was all excited. Oh, this technology is so much fun. This is great. And then it was like more than 2 minutes and it went away and it never uploaded. And I was very sad. And Zoom so far has not betrayed me. So my video feedback, I'm currently using Zoom. I did start using Studio because it's right inside of Canvas. It lives in there. So we'll probably do another session again on that. So we can kind of think about like how we might use Canvas Studio as well. But unfortunately, we don't have a lot of time right now. So we can, definitely think about that. And if anyone's interested, go ahead and put a note in the chat and we will definitely add that next time. Or, okay, so a session on Studio would be great. Okay. Well, I think I'm getting there. So maybe Javier, if you'd like to help me with that, well, we can work on that together. Okay. All right. So this is the part. So if we go back over here, we also have YouTube. So depending on the purpose or kind of recording, an instructional recording, you definitely probably do not, you can make this very private. You can make it so that it's private and only certain people can see it. You can decide on the security settings for YouTube, but a lot of people are kind of like, they feel iffy about YouTube. I totally get that. And so you may decide that you only want this for instructional kind of short recordings and you're going to put things on YouTube. Okay, so you can do that. You can make a channel and you can be the star of your YouTube sensation. And then you can become like a marketing thing and you can start like holding up like, coffee mugs and say vacuum insulated. Yes, I love drinking this. Okay, I'm just trying to put it out there. All right. So now we're going to so we already looked at some stuff. So I think, we practiced on that meeting recording. So we did that already. So now we are, and there's some further inquiry stuff. So I have that in there for you so you can take a look. But now let's talk about reporting. Okay, so any last questions that y'all have about sorry, that's my organ coming out. Does anyone have a question about anything about the the recording part before we get to reports? We're good? Nice. Okay. So reporting is something that is very magical for me. I got very excited when I learned that this could happen. And then we were building things and like starting to record, put information in here. And depending, I know some of you said that you're using it for meetings. And so you may find like those questions that you all did answer, right, as you came into this session. Those are some things that will come out in the reports. Okay, so I can't open these to show you information about like what actually we're seeing, but those exact things that we're putting, I can show you how we design it a little bit so you can see what comes. So let me show you, if we look at the meeting, and then we take one of our previous meetings and we go into one of these, let's say, whatever it is. Okay, maybe that's not a good one to use. But if we take like our Canvas 102, our very popular Canvas 102 modules, and this is how we're designing it. So if you've been to our other sessions or you've probably already done some of these. Okay, and then you save it. And you're going to go down to the bottom. Actually, sorry, I told you something totally not what you're supposed to be doing. You're welcome. Okay. I'm taking you all on a journey. Okay, so if you go to the registration section and you click on edit, then you can decide on your custom questions. And those custom questions, you can add all kinds of questions, and those responses will come up inside of the in the report. So whatever you put here, those are going to show up in the report. These are the things that are already there, and you can also decide if you want, any other information. But these are custom questions that you can actually add, and this comes up in the reporting. So if you want to know something about your students and you want them to, perhaps, let's say that you're having a session, like you're doing my husband does a lot of these at East LA College or ELAC. that they do these big events. And so you might want to ask, like, what major are you, and things like that. And so you can actually add those custom questions, and they can actually type those in. So that's something to think about. You can add a new question. You can also go in and you can click on it and you can change it so you have a short answer or single answer kind of thing, and you can decide whether it's required or not. Okay, so that's something to think about. So when we get to reports over here, there are two different kinds of reports. So one of them is a usage report, which means that this is everybody who actually attended that session. So when you click on this, this tells you how many people, but it's, if I were able to show you, which I will not, because, but I encourage you to look at your own, okay, then you're gonna click on it and it will tell you everybody who has attended that session, and then you can narrow it down to a single user if you want to, or you can see how many times they may have been disrupted and come back. So this will tell you the duration. So you see this part on the duration. This will also appear for every student or every individual who's in the session. So if you don't have really an opportunity to kind of monitor and see what students may have gotten disconnected or something's going on, this is a way for you to be able to outreach to them and say, I noticed that you got kicked out of the session a lot. Have you thought about getting a hotspot, or what's happening, or, are you okay? Like checking in on the students. If you notice that they came for just a minute or two and then they left or something like that, then you can definitely check on them as well. Okay, but this is basically like a way to take attendance, so you don't have to ask them if they're there. I always like to anyway, because I like to do the question of the day, but this is a way to double check. All right, so, and then you can export it as a CSV file, so you can export it as a file. The other report is the meeting report. And this is actually people who registered. It's kind of weird because it doesn't look like it would be the thing that was people who are registering, but it is. And it also has a poll report. So you can also search. It doesn't seem to do a very good job of sorting out the polls. So you have to kind of like be aware of that. And you can search a time range of 1 month. So you'll see maximum report duration is 1 month, okay? So you can also look at that. So we have the registration report. We have the poll report. So if you're asking your students to do a poll, then you can actually get that data and you can pull it out, okay? And then when you generate that report, then you can save that as an Excel file as well, okay? And again, I can't show it to you because that would be a privacy issue, okay? So, but definitely I can walk you through if you have questions. Or we're gonna have actually, yay, tomorrow, Devin is gonna be doing a thought partner hour on Zoom, and she will be leading that show. So if you want to try something out, then you can come to that session, and that would be awesome. Okay, so I don't know if we can grab that. So any questions that anyone has right now? We have about 7 minutes. We did pretty well. You were amazing. You all were incredible. Wow. Okay, so can I use the same poll multiple times and see different reports? I believe you can, yes, because it's by date. So you should be fine with doing that. I would probably try it out just to be on the safe side, but I'm pretty sure that you can use it more than once, the same poll. Yeah, that shouldn't be an issue. The other thing is that I don't know if anybody has used templates. Have you all used templates for your, so one of the things that I do like to do with meetings is to make templates, and then that will keep your poll, and that will also keep your information consistent. Okay, so if I decide that I'm going to, let's say that I want to make a new meeting, I can actually select a template here of something that I've used before. Maybe I want to use the Zoom 102 with breakout rooms and polls. And that one should, I believe, have polls included in it too. So I need to confirm and verify. Devin, do you know if it keeps the poll with it?
I think it does. I'm pretty sure it does.
I'm pretty sure it does too. So give that a try as well, but that can save you a lot of time. But what I do know is that it will keep the reporting information the same. So it will definitely keep like those custom questions that you have. It will keep those. So if you're, having a club hour and you want students to be signing in, you want to know who's coming, you want them to pre-register, to send them also a notification saying like, hey, just want to make sure that you all are coming. That is something that I guess for the last thing that I can share with a bit of wisdom is that unlike something like Eventbrite, there's not an automatic reminder that comes with these. You probably know this because you've all registered for many of our sessions and you don't, so you actually have to go in there and you have to, you can just go ahead and go in and view this and then resend under the email settings. You can resend it. Okay, so you get the confirmation email comes, and that's pretty much the end of the line. You can definitely add it to your calendar. But if you want to send something to the people again to remind them, then you're going to do that here. Okay. Not exactly recording a report, but just a little tip. Okay. All right. So other questions that you all might have, and Mark, yes, let us know how it goes. Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to stop sharing my screen unless someone has another burning question.
So strange anytime I have to cough. I'm like, don't worry, I'm okay. I'm not, I don't have, okay. Especially when I'm like at the market, I'm like, okay.
You know what? Somebody was mentioning in another session that the monitor, like when you tapped it or something like that, that was when it got quieter and when it got louder.
Oh.
I know. We know you can't hear her. I know. Okay, so any last questions that anybody has?
I think we are good to go. I'm gonna give.
All right. Well, let's. We have about 2 minutes. How is the first week going? You can share in the chat, or are you all back? Have you all been back for a bit? Oh my gosh, do we have a heart now? Thank you, Sandy. I did not even know we had that lovely heart. Okay, very good.
We get more and more features from
We
Zoom.
are getting more and more features every day.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. All right, everybody. Well, we're not, let's see. So yes, poll the students on if they want record. Mark, that is so meta. I love that. If they want recordings and how they will use them. This is so cool. Yes, that's great. I love that. Yes, definitely. Yeah, and I think that's really, when we think about bringing people together, when we think about like, this community that we're living in, which is often a lot of screens that are off, right? Anything that we can do to kind of give agency and, and allow people to make choices seems to be a really big hit. So I think that that's a wonderful idea, and I'm looking forward to hearing how that goes. All right, well, we thank you all so much. If there are no other questions, we're gonna go ahead and log off. But we are grateful for all of you, and we hope to see you tomorrow or Devin hopes to see you tomorrow at the Thought Partner time, where you can come back and report about what happened with your Zoom, okay? All right, take good care, everybody. Be well, be safe. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sandy. Bye-bye.